tasty. Come on, take a bite.
But no cigar. The reptiles just won't run.
A big part of the problem may very well be that it knows it's not a person.
How can it tell? Yeah.
Conditions are perfect. Crocs are the most active at this time of the year. And the humid, steamy weather means they shouldn't be sluggish.
No interest whatsoever.
I'm starting to feel extremely defeated. There's a run in my stockings and there's no crocodile running.
You know what they say about children and animals in the film industry.
You said it, Tori. Animal myths are notoriously difficult to bust. Remember skunk cleaning? Adam and Jamie set out to test a bunch of skunk smell home remedies. Only problem was, they couldn't get a skunk to kick up a stink.
Well, it doesn't work. Can we go now?
Back in Crocodile Alley, the test subjects are refusing to chase Buster's meat legs in a zigzag or any other configuration. Luckily, the MythBusters have a plan B.
We're actually going to take a quail and put it on my robot here. And this is a battle-ready combat robot. So if, unfortunately, an animal gets a hold of it in its jaws, it is built for combat, so it probably will stand up.
With its cargo of quail in place, Grant's robot sets out on its mission. Looking like the Mars rover, it parks near the edge of a pool, well within striking distance. Grant's poised to hit the accelerator at the first crocodilian quiver. But apparently, this croc doesn't feel like Meals on Wheels.
We're having a hard time getting this crocodile to come to the surface of the water, so I'm going to try to entice it with some quail, and I'm just going to drop it right in front of his nose, or her nose.
Tori ventures close and throws the bird. Nothing. Not a ripple.
I don't think he's coming out the water.
Well, the trainers here say that they're naturally secretive animals, and what's more, they're not stupid.
Yeah, he seems pretty spooked by your robot.
No response to the rig, no response to the robot. You can't say the MythBusters aren't trying.
You know, those crocodiles seem like they're slow on land, but shooting out of the water, they're lightning.
Well, actually, I've done a little bit more research, and it turns out in almost every crocodile or alligator attack, since they've been keeping records, the victim has been in or near the water.
Well then, what are the rules to avoid being chomped?
First, if there are any warning signs, don't go in the water. Second, if you fall into the water, get out as quickly as possible. And third, never ever dangle your legs or arms over the side of the boat.
I think we can handle these rules.
There's only one thing left. Plan C. That's C for crazy. Tori's gonna put his behind on the line and get a croc to chase him instead. Tori, Carrie, and Grant have been wrestling with the myth that crocodiles can't run in a zigzag. So far, they haven't been able to coax a croc into running at all. You know what they say about desperate times and desperate measures.
We've tried everything to get these crocodiles to chase the food, but apparently nothing's working. So we're going to try a different approach. We're going to try to see if we can get them to chase us out of aggression. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually suit up with some protective gear, get in there, try to agitate the crocodiles, and see if they'll chase me.
Tori's going out on a limb. Let's just hope all his are still there when it's over.
So let's say one of them does get a hold of my leg. What will you do to break that hold?
I will do everything I can to ease your pain as quickly as possible.
He has a stick.
And this is actually more for
knock me
you.
out with the
Yes,
stick.
exactly. The quicker you lose consciousness, the better off it is for you. Yes.
Tori's legs will be well protected. Unfortunately, the heavy padding will also slow him down.
Wait, the safety protection caused me to fall down. Protective gear is hindering me from running away from the crocodile.
Nevertheless, he's ready for a face-to-face croc confrontation. The Johnston's crocodile is found in Australian waters. It's smaller than the Cuban croc, but fast and fiercely territorial.
So this is the first test, chasing Tori with the Johnston crocodile.
What do you think's going to happen?
I think you can catch him.
The starting point is to see if any of them can actually be hypnotized in the first place.
Here we have a hypnotherapist and a neurotherapist. They're going to figure out which one of us can be hypnotized. For this test, we need post-hypnotic suggestion. And if none of us can be hypnotized, we're stuck.
And first up is Tori. The plan is that Carrie and Grant will monitor his progress with the help of neurotherapist Cynthia and her EEG machine.
So what's this, like if I get a wrong answer, then you shock me?
While clinical hypnotist Seth will try to put him under her spell.
Just keep on focusing on my hand, noticing that your eyes start to feel heavy. Allow that feeling of heaviness to get more and more heavy.
She's using a common technique called progressive relaxation.
That's right. And just let a gentle wave of relaxing energy go from your head all the way down to your feet, to your toes. A gentle wave.
Carrie and Grant will know Tori's been hypnotized when the EEG machine shows his brain's electrical activity has halved.
Do you know what percentage of people are able to be hypnotized?
Easily 85%.
85?
To some degree.
Despite the odds, they're not off to a good start because even after 10 minutes, Tori's brain activity has only dropped by 5%.
I would want to see it get to about half of what it was. So if he was about 9.5, I'd like to see it at about maybe 4.
Tori's inability to relax means he's out of the race. So next up is Carrie, and the boys have high hopes for her.
I actually think that she's a reasonable candidate to be hypnotized.
Why?
I don't know, it's kind of a gut feeling.
Could you tell her to do things and she does them?
No, that's definitely not the reason why.
But their hopes are ill-founded because Carrie won't go under either.
I think I would start to get relaxed enough that I was almost in a sleep-like state, but then I'd be like, oh, I'm trying to be in a sleep-like state. I'm trying so hard. So it's almost like I couldn't let myself completely relax.
So with the score standing at 0-2, it all boils down to Grant. But will Mr. Science submit to Seth?
Deeply, deeply down. More and more relaxed.
Despite Grant's initial discomfort, after 5 minutes, things are looking good.
Like a rag doll, deeper down.
The EEG machine shows Grant's brain activity has already dropped from a level 9 to a 4.
I think he's in a deep state. I think he's more hypnotizable. There you go. Look at that.
And what that means is he's just the kind of highly suggestible subject they're looking for.
Grant would make a good subject for a post-hypnotic suggestion. He's a very susceptible person.
You're the winner.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, you know what that means. Now we're going to see if we can hypnotize you and see if we can get you to do something that you wouldn't normally do.
She's not going to embarrass me or anything.
Don't worry, it won't be too humiliating.
Popular in the early 1900s, Charles Kellogg was a naturalist come showman with an extraordinary talent. Not only could he sing like a bird, but he could also supposedly extinguish a sensitive flame with his voice. But when the MythBusters tried to replicate this feat, they failed to douse anything. But in case the 100-year-old recording they used was of insufficient quality, they've now called in the big guns.
Hey, Roger. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Come to help us do some detective work? Yeah.
Sound engineer Roger has brought a tone generator to replicate the full vocal range of Kellogg's bird voice.
In Kellogg's day, this was the way that you generated a precise frequency. This is what they used to tune pianos and other things, I believe. Not that I've ever done it, but these days we have things called tone generators, and so we'll be able to get any frequency that we want within any conceivable range.
But before getting into a frequency frenzy, let's get a few things straight. Sound is vibrations traveling through the air in waves. Its frequency is a measure of how many times the sound wave vibrates in 1 second. The higher the frequency, the higher the pitch. Kellogg's bird voice could supposedly reach a barely audible frequency of 14,000 hertz, something that the tone generator can match.
So this is ninja training going on?
Yeah. Well, this is all military close quarters combat stuff from Japan's pre-unification Civil War period, so like 1600 AD and before. Really, the stuff that we do is based on timing, positioning, tactics, and psychology, rather than speed and power.
I was hoping you'd just show us, like, what a ninja would do if I tried to attack them.
Okay.
Is now the time to tell Adam Dale his 15th Dan? and there is no 16.
Well, hopefully Adam won't get hurt too badly. A little bit is good.
Just do whatever.
Okay.
Adam hits the mat in record time.
Well, I was to do it so that I locked him up.
As he falls, Dale gives Adam some pointers on the way down with the famed ninja throwing star.
I wasn't actually using the point, just this, but it would say ripping out here, right? Yeah. And we took him down. I had it in here too.
Right in the back. That's good.
The point where he fell down, I was ripping across here, and he came down at a point where he actually was landing on it like this on the back of his neck.
That's pretty efficient.
It's Jamie's favorite part, watching me get kicked, my ass kicked.
Adam and Jamie has enjoyed his schooling in the art of the Shadow Warrior.
Can you come back to our shop and do some of this on high-speed camera for us?
Yeah, I'd be delighted to.
Awesome. Okay, I'm done.
Next, Adam disappears to get some covert essentials.
Hello, how are you doing?
Very good. How are you?
Welcome to Tiger Claw.
There's even a martial arts superstore, and it has plenty of mercenary merchandise to choose from.
All right, the Ninja Row is down here.
The Ninja Row. That's great.
Just check out some of their red light saboteur specials.
They're called tabby boots. Have the split toes, so you can climb up ropes and stuff. And they're very silent. Your ninja foot spikes. They're great for walking on ice and for aerating your lawn. We have shuriken. You need lots of shuriken. Every ninja has many shuriken.
These are rubber shuriken.
Well, the metal ones are illegal.
And for the totally 80s enigma.
This is like wearing a t-shirt that says Witness Protection Program.
All undercovered out.
That's the whole thing?
The whole kit.
It's back to the lair to test their 3 ninja myths, beginning with the tale of running on water.
Well, barring any magical powers, which we can't really test on this show, ninjas definitely didn't just walk on water. But they might have had some help. Our researchers have turned up a thing called Mizugumo. So I'm going to build a set of these and see how effective they are.
Mizugumo, meaning water spider in Japanese, were flat wooden discs that ninjas strapped to their feet. The theory is the wide surface area distributed their weight evenly on the surface of the water, so they didn't sink. So what kind of wood would a ninja cobbler have used?
I've got some pine-based light-density fiberboard here. It's pretty much perfect for our uses, so I'm going to use this as our stand-in for the Mizugumo wood.
Adam measures and cuts out 2 circles of pine board. Then he slices each of them into 4 separate pieces.
That's good.
One by one, he stains the sections with a brown pigment and painstakingly sands them back. Paint on, paint off. Such is the mysterious way of the former movie prop maker who, for no particular reason, wants his water shoes to look worn in.
Looks a bit like old wood now.
Lastly, he places a rectangular block in the middle of each circle and secures the pieces together using twine. It's an ancient jigsaw that makes for a puzzling pair of footwear.
I didn't expect it to fold like that. But I wonder if that's not actually part of its function.
Jimmy Choo can rest easy, but these replica ninja shoes may just float like boats.
I can't wait to see how these work.
We know ninjas have speed and quick reaction time. This myth is about strength. Ideas: ninjas being attacked by a swordsman. Swordsman's coming to swing at his head. Ninja catches the blade in his hands without cutting his hands and without being chopped in half.
You mean like this?
And here's another. Carrie has to choose the lingerie least likely to come apart while being chewed.
You've got nylon, you got spandex, you got cotton, and I need to test and see which one of these are going to be the best for the crocodiles to be able to hold on to.
With the different stocking stuffed, Carrie takes a scalpel and makes like a crocodile tooth.
I think I'm going with the 100% cotton fishnet stockings.
Adam and Jamie are trying to get a handle on the Hindenburg blaze.
Wow!
Was the airship's metallic paint to blame? The paint on this panel matches the one on the doomed airship. It contains aluminum and iron oxide, two compounds that combine to create explosive thermite. Will they get a reaction? Adam puts flame to the frame.
Go.
No thermite reaction, no intense heat. In fact, it takes 5.5 minutes for the panel to be consumed. That's almost twice as long as the aluminum-coated cotton.
It's almost identical to the cloth by itself.
Wow.
Hang on, guys. Don't write off this myth yet. That was one little panel. The Hindenburg was covered in thousands of square feet of material. Could there be a better boom on a bigger scale?
I mean, maybe there's some crazy amount that could yield an energetic reaction, but it's not this amount.
Obviously, the Hindenburg's designers didn't set out to coat their creation in rocket fuel. Those who pan the paint theory say the aluminum and iron oxide couldn't have formed thermite because the compounds weren't mixed that way. The recipe was completely different. So that's got the MythBusters curious. What would happen if you did paint pure thermite on the skin?
It's more like a paste than a paint, but I think we can smear it on.
Next up, whoa, mega dope. This is just total worst case scenario. Can you actually make thermite in a dope formulation?
Be careful when you light it.
Adam ignites the panel.
Time it.
Not exactly the pyrotechnic display we might have expected. They start discussing Plan B when suddenly...
Deuteronomy. Okay, wait.
Well, that's thermite.
You got that right.
Wow!
Once the mega dope ignited, the panel was consumed in just 20 seconds.
That was dramatically different.
That was totally amazing. Well, I tell you, that's the first evidence I've seen yet that there might actually be something to this myth. Because that's the kind of burn I think of when I think about the Hindenburg going up.
This was not what was on the Hindenburg. We have to make that clear because this was just like over the top crazy. The concentration of thermite in there was, thermite to dope was maybe like 75% thermite. And they wouldn't have, in any stretch of the imagination, coated the Hindenburg with something like that.
So you burned the skin samples, but you know, the Hindenburg was filled with 200,000 cubic meters of hydrogen.
Well, let's burn some skin in the presence of hydrogen and see what it does.
The newsreel shows the Hindenburg engulfed by fire. Yet high school science tells us hydrogen burns with a near invisible flame. So what are we seeing in the disaster footage? Is it the skin burning and not the gas? Adam will burn some hydrogen to see what the flame looks like. He takes a cylinder of 100% pure hydrogen and makes an enormous Bunsen burner.
That's an orange burn, baby. The hydrogen definitely burns orange, but it is extremely low visibility, in contrast to the newsreel footage in which the flame is clearly visible. Now, eyewitnesses said it burned orange, but it's a lot more visible than this was.
One thing's for sure, hydrogen burns like nobody's business.
Next up in our Ninja Bits, can you catch an arrow with your bare hands?
How are we going to do that?
Well, I figure we should take some of our arrows downstairs and you can shoot them at me and I'll just try and catch them.
So you'd actually let me shoot at you with a bow and arrow?
Amazingly, yes.
All right.
Legend has it that a ninja could do this dexterous trick with ease. So Jamie and Adam want to get a feel for it themselves.
I'm going to string a regular bow and set up an arrow with a tennis ball on it and shoot it at Adam, or at least off to the side of Adam. We'll put Adam in a protective suit in case I either get frisky or miss.
Jamie is an experienced archer, and even though he's not using a real arrowhead, this is not something to try at home.
He's going to be shooting from over there into this garbage can. I'm going to be standing here, we'll catch it on high-speed camera, see how fast I can actually catch this arrow at.
Jamie marks out notches on the shaft. The further he pulls back, the faster the rod will travel.
Whoosh! All right, I'm ready if you are. You want to start slow?
Yep.
All right.
Jamie starts out at Mark 1.
2, 1.
The arrow eludes Adam's grasp.
I don't have enough time to anticipate. It's like by the time you let go and I've moved.
Still at Mark 1. This time, Adam tries to move in sync with the arrow.
Hey!
Good job.
You know, I anticipated when you were just about to do it, and I just started moving, and we worked, it's like working together.
It's a beautiful thing. Next, Jamie ups the ante to Mark 3. But the arrow keeps sailing on by, as the guy's unified martial arts magic peaked already.
Got it!
Even though Adam's form was impressive, the speed was lacking. Their tennis ball projectile was traveling at 58 miles an hour, a third of the speed of a real arrow.
You've got a couple of things here that are throwing this off. For one thing, this is, what, twice or 3 times as heavy as a normal arrow would be because of that thing on the end of it.
Right.
I really think that we need to figure out some other solution.
To test this myth at a true-to-life rate, the guys have to bounce around a new strategy. Back over at M7, the team has finished putting their mechanical sword-catching rig together. Now, to set it to move at a real-life rate.
We don't want it to be superhuman, and we don't want it to be subhuman. We want it to be whatever a person could do, and then we'll be ready to try and catch a sword. Calibration first test at 100 psi. In 3, 2, 1.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, the speed and force of the ninja's arms was exactly the same as Grant's best time, but the replay reveals something undetectable to the naked eye.
There's a bounce back which could let that sword get right through there.
As the hands hit together, they bounce off each other and jiggle like jello, opening up an unforeseen headache.
The force is causing him to bounce away, and it's allowing a gap which is going to allow the sword to go right through and bury into the guy's head.
To try and stop the handshake, they're going to strengthen them from the inside. Building up the bones may add extra beef.
First you slice the hand in half, and then you get to beat the metal and you stick it in.
Tori has a big saw over there, and he's taking out these tiny little pieces of metal and putting in big, thick, girthy pieces of metal. That way when these things hit,
Tori also has another quiver-containing idea.
What I'm thinking is maybe what we do is put some kind of a latch so that when the hands come together, it keeps them there. And it's not adding any more pressure. All it's doing is keeping the hands together like you would be able to do if you were using your muscles.
He attaches 2 kickstands to the arms that will fall and lock into ratchets and fastens pneumatic rams on either side of the hands.
This thing's starting to look like a monster. Pretty soon you're not going to recognize it.
But it's function, not form, that counts.
Here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Well, they look nice and sturdy and stable.
Yeah.
They check it out frame by frame.
Stay together.
Come on.
Stay together. Yeah!
When a cowboy's hat takes a bullet in Hollywood, it takes flight like a startled bird. Does the science stack up, or are those hats flying in the face of physics? Our own Butch and Sundance aim to find out.
Are you ready?
And as we know, the Mythbusters always feel right at home on the range.
What happened? He must be Frank.
That's my name.
Frank Tabor is a Wild West firearms aficionado.
Good morning. Yeah.
Frank's wagon contains an arsenal of archaic weapons.
This is a 4440 Colt. This is an 1888 manufacturer Smith & Wesson top brace. This is a Colt Pump Lightning. This one's about 1900.
Has anyone ever shot your hat off?
One time I was at a competition and my hat blew down range and everybody online shot it to pieces. Just blew it up.
Frank has what so many options for us, from long rounds, short rounds, black powder, smokeless, rifles.
Let's do it.
Our Hollywood hard guys use handguns, so Adam and Jamie select an 1860 Army Colt revolver. If that doesn't work, they'll try a Winchester lever-action rifle.
I love that.
The weapons are authentic, The 8 target hats match those worn by real cowboys in the real Wild West.
Nice high crown. Should be easy to shoot and miss the head. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
That's pretty darn good. All right. You want to take the first shot?
Sure.
First up, the oldest firearm, the revolver.
Range is hot.
That was perfect. Right through the top.
Didn't take it off.
No, it cocked it a little bit to the side.
The bullet left the muzzle at 750 feet per second. In bullet terms, that's not fast. But it was still fast enough to drill a neat hole straight through the crown.
You got a lot of leverage out of that. See, the bullet went in here and tore out through the top. Again, it was moving a lot of material. Okay, here comes the Winchester.
Nice shot.
Look at that, right through the center. That did not budge the hat. It could not be a more perfect shot.
The hat didn't take off, but it's way too early to call it busted.
This is the Charles Bronson Once Upon a Time in the West hat. You ready?
Ready. Range is hot.
Hey! You knocked the hat off!
Hang on, guys. Let's see the movie footage again. Bullets send these hats sky high. Jamie's shot was slightly less spectacular.
Your hit could not have been more perfect. You went through more material of that hat than any of our hits before. You went through the brim, through the brim, through the brim, and through the brim.
Yeah, but it kind of like fell off sideways.
Yeah, but if you're the guy wearing this hat and someone shoots at you, you're gonna say he shot my hat off.
Spurred on.
Find the red lady. Find the red lady, it pays $20.
Our gunslingers take pot shots at their whole hat collection.
Right between the eyes.
But those brims hardly budge. And the reason is simple. When it strikes the hat, a small projectile traveling at around 1,000 feet per second doesn't encounter enough resistance and rips straight through the material. So the question is, what does it take to flip the lid on this myth? Time to pelt the felt with something a little more powerful. Now that's more like what we see on the silver screen.
All the pellets went in here. All the pellets came out there.
The birdshot sprays out at a slower speed, striking a larger surface area. The force is enough to make hat and head part company. There's one tiny problem.
But it doesn't quite leave you able to tell the tale. I mean...
Looks like he's got an acne problem right now.
The dummy's forehead looks like a lunar landscape.
Oh, I think that's a record.
That hat is gone!